Sportsline Podcast on CHCH's media platforms. Pleased to meet you. I'm Bubba O'Neil. Folks, continual theme that we always boast here on this podcast is that Southern Ontario is a hotbed for successful athletes, teams, executives, and in today's case, broadcasters and their personal stories. Today, it's a hardcore local sports fan that you need to know a little bit more about. As you've seen with recent Sportsline guests, Rod Black and Arash Madani, there are nationally recognized media personalities. But if you were to ask them, the backbone of the business are the ones that tell stories to a local audience. For a number of years, Troy Izlakar has been in front of the camera reporting and breaking down action in the Ontario Hockey League, Inter-County Baseball League, and Ontario University Athletics. In addition, he has offered hours and hours of instruction and encouragement to the football team at Sir Winston Churchill Secondary School as a coach. On one of his profiles, he notes himself as intrigued by all things sport. Well, I'm kind of intrigued by this fella. Troy, welcome to the Sportsline Podcast. I think this is someone that we bring you in here that people are going to say we want to know a little bit more about, because we hear the voice a lot, we see the face, but what else is behind the face and voice? So thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me on. And, you see this on TV, and it's a lot bigger than it looks on TV. It's quite impressive in here.
Yeah, and we're pretty proud to have this. As we get close to our 70th anniversary, so many stories to be told. But I think the one we want to talk about right now is you. And I got to ask this first out. I mean, you have had, and as we find out, many years of dedication to the public as not only a broadcaster, but a police officer.
Yeah, I was a retired about in my 8th year retirement, 30 plus years with the Halton Regional Police, and had the opportunity to do a lot of things there, and just a great career. Love the people there. It's so much so that my daughter works there now. Mm-hmm. Right, she's a police officer in Halton, and she loves it as well. So it's starting to be a family tradition, mm-hmm. and I just enjoyed it, and did the broadcasting while I was still working for the Halton Police, and it was a good way to get away in a different avenue.
In our area, just focusing on our region, we'll call it the Golden Horseshoe, and being part of the public service for so long, you've seen so many changes in this area, but for the good, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Everything is just increased twofold. Training for officers is increased. The equipment. I just recently read my daughter's CV on stuff that she's involved in, and it's like, wow, like it's way more stuff than I ever got involved mm-hmm. in. Like really impressive stuff, mm-hmm. and it's that next level stuff that makes the service better. And the people that they protect better as well.
Born and raised in this area, in the Hamilton area, where'd that love for sports come from?
Well, Bubba, hours and hours and hours of street hockey, street football, playing tackle on the street.
On what street?
Rosedale Avenue. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the fellas out there. Baseball up at King's Forest, just at the edge of the Green Hill there. Mm-hmm. That's all we did all day, every day, mm-hmm. till the streetlights came on, and then we went out and did it again. Sometimes we'd play 3-4 sports in one day. Mm-hmm. Start with hockey, street hockey, then football. I lived on Rosedale Avenue near Rosedale Arena, so I played hockey there. I played golf there. I played tennis there. I played baseball there. Mm-hmm. Just a tremendous area to grow up. Mm-hmm. Just everything was there. I skied there. They had a ski hill, mm-hmm. at one time there. So I did a little bit of everything. Master of, a bunch of trades, jack of all trades, master of none.
Well, don't say that though. What was there a plan? I want to be pro. Was that a thought?
In high school, uh-huh. I started in grade 9. I was the only kid from my grade 8 class to actually play football in grade 9, mm-hmm. and gradually getting better and better, a little more coaching and getting and growing and bigger. I became a pretty good receiver. And I always thought that my chance would be as a slot back somewhere. Had decent speed for a big guy, and I played other positions as well. I played linebacker, I played quarterback in high school, but and then went on to play for the Hamilton Hurricanes, and I played slot back there. Yeah,
that's pretty high level ball.
Yeah, it was, but it just didn't come to pass. I mean, I got a couple injuries, and I had to have something left for people to hire at some point, right? So, and then I got into policing right from playing junior football, actually, and the rest is history.
Now, I think this is really interesting, and this is a beauty of a gem that you dropped on me, is that somehow sports and the policing come together in curling. And you had a lot of success.
Yeah, so after playing, countless years of men's beer league hockey, I worked with Peter Corner. I'm not sure if you know.
Wow,
Peter,
sure.
Yeah, so he was world champion curler, played with Glenn Howard, Russ Howard, Wayne Madaw.
Oh, his first wife.
Yeah.
Really well.
And so he took myself and a friend of mine, Jeff Corey, out curling one day, and it was like, wow, this is fun. And it's, it takes some skill, and it takes some, when you're sweeping, you're getting a lot more tired than you think you are, right? Like it's a lot of endurance. And so we started playing with better players, getting a little bit better. Then we started getting a little more competitive because, I just can't do something without being really competitive at it, right? Like it drives my wife crazy. But so we started hooked up with a couple guys, one guy from the RCMP, one guy from the OPP, and we just had a run from 2004 to 2009. We won three championships, and
three national championships.
Yeah, 3 national championships, Ontario championships and national championships. It was it's really high level competitive curling. There was some guys there. There was Mark Johnson from Alberta, played for he was a 5th on the U.S. Olympic team. The guys that have played in the Brier, like it's competitive at that level. And sometimes we sat back and went, what are we doing here? But we managed to do all right.
Can you dispel the rumor that curling is easy? Because I've tried it once and I couldn't stand up.
Yeah.
I can't stand up anyway, but I could not stand up on the ice. It was incredibly difficult.
Yeah, it's one of those sports where the ratings are really high, and it's mostly people who have never played the sport before who are intrigued by it. To play the sport, a lot of balance. Some athletic ability really counts, and skill. Like and sweeping. It is like I've been more gassed after sweeping a rock all the way down the other end than I have sometimes on some shifts in hockey. Like it's you really, if you're doing it properly, you really get a good workout in. And it's you can go out there and just play for fun, or you can play at a competitive level. There's something for everybody in it.
I'm amazed when I watch, and this is for a female and a male level in our country, and we've been some of the best. Jennifer Jones, obviously a multiple world champion and Olympic medalist. You go on and on. I mean, how far is it from the time you release the rock to the end? It's amazing to me that you can plan out a shot. Like, that's easy for me in shuffleboard, because shuffleboard, the board is a 1.5 meters long. I can look at that and say, okay, I'm going to put that there, boom, and then make a shot. But I'm looking at shots, a heavy rock on an ice surface, and then 1, 2, 3. It's amazing to me how the mind and how the body can work together and come up with some of those shots.
Yeah, there's so many little intricacies involved. You've got your broom down the other end of the ice, which seems like it's like 5 miles away, and you've got to line up your rock with that broom. You come out of the hack, and you've got to have a good, straight, balanced approach to it, and then come out and line up the rock with the broom at the other end of the ice, and then turn the rock to get it start curling, and then you have to do that all before the hog line, and you got to let it go before the hog line. It's quite a skill to master.
It is unbelievable to me,
and not fall on your head.
No, exactly, right, exactly, and full know that someone else is going to make that next shot right after you immediately.
Yep.
So let's talk about continue with the sports theme here, and I think it's so interesting because you were able to, as you had alluded to earlier in the podcast, that you were actually building your sports resume in terms of the television side of things while you were still an officer. But I hear you started out as a cameraman?
Yeah, so what happened is we had the Canadian Police Curling Championships we hosted in 2004, and Norm Miller and Todd Crocker. Norm Miller actually was our media communications person for that event. Todd Crocker came out with Cable 14, and they covered the event. And I was just always intrigued by more so the technical side of television than the actual on-air side. And I thought, yeah, that would be kind of cool to operate one of these cameras, right? So I volunteered a couple months after the 2004 championships, and I was doing camera for them, and I was doing I did the Calder Cup, the Hamilton Bulldogs when they were in the AHL. Did those games. I did a bunch of stuff, baseball. And then one day, Steve Colson, who was the producer for Cable 14, said to me, he goes, "You seem to know a lot about sports." He goes, "Have you ever thought about doing any on-air stuff?" And I was like, "No." It was a pretty simple answer. And he goes, "Would you be interested in doing it?" And I said, "Well, I give it a try, I guess." And then one of these, like, "Are you sure it's me you want?" Like, and so I did my first game in 2010 with Reed Duffy, right? And it was his first hockey game as well, right? So
really?
Yeah. So it was the two of us were like normie new guys, right? And I just remember standing there at the truck, just before the game, and this guy, like 5 foot something, comes walking up to the truck with hair down to here and some cool shoes, and I'm thinking, what the heck is that? And he gets to the truck and we're talking, and I said to him, he goes, "So what do you want to do? Do you want to do play-by-play or do you want to do color?" And I said, "I don't know." I says, "How about you do play-by-play? I'll do color." I just thought, let him talk more, right? And so that was that. Do. Yeah, which he can certainly do, and quite well actually. And we did that game, and it was probably 2.5 minutes into the game. I thought, this guy's going somewhere, right? And he has.
Yes, absolutely.
And we've done a ton together.
And it's amazing to me, and this is where we do recognize you, or at least your voice at the very least, is these Bulldog games, and this is now the Junior Hockey Bulldogs, and they have had some incredible long playoff runs where, let's be honest, I think this goes for any sport, there's a certain amount of attention that happens during I guess OHL is 62 games. 68 regulars. You can only get so much attention, but when they get to the playoffs, in which the Bulldogs have done and gotten themselves to the Memorial Cup, the interest level just explodes. Yep. And you've had the opportunity to be on some of the broadcasts with some really good teams.
Yeah, as Reed and I, we often joke, it's like we just happened by accident to be in the right place at the right time. We've done a Yates Cup, we did a CJFL Canadian Bowl. We did Allen Cup. 10 games in 5 days, a number of years ago in 2014. And then, Reed and his, working with the Bulldogs, I've done OHL championships, a Memorial Cup. I was in St. John's and did the Memorial Cup with Reed. We've just been so lucky that, we've been in the right place at the right time. And so many guys, with way more ability and experience than us, just haven't had that opportunity.
And you've been, sort of blessed too, because there's another man there in Norm, where you guys have mixed, where there's two analysts. Sometimes you go down, and tell me about this. When you get to go down,
love it,
in on the ice, what's that like?
Oh, it's awesome. Love it. When me and Norm and Reed get to work together, we've got it going, and when you get a building like First Ontario Centre, particularly, it's so big and cavernous. Having that guy on the bench giving that information out kind of just squeezes everything down, right? And the players down there, it's so interesting. One thing comes to mind would be, being between the benches there and seeing a guy like Arbor Jacki. that guy can communicate so much without saying a word by just peering at the other team's bench.
Yes.
And I was just so amazed by that, right? Like so impressed by that. And that's the kind of thing I just love being in the pit lane of NASCAR, right there.
It is amazing there. You bring up Arbor Jack guy. You and I got to see each other in St. John for the, I guess that would have been, 2 years ago, that run to the Memorial Cup. And, everything came to a conclusion. And I think it was I always remember what Coach McKee said in the sense that they were the champions of champions because they defeated the Western Hockey League champion. They defeated the Quebec champion, but lost to the host, who had been, I think they had about 30-something days of rest. And it is what it is for the Memorial Cup. That's the way it is. But I remember talking to Arbor and sort of just wishing him his best and full knowing that he's going to have a career in the National Hockey League. And he gave me a handshake. Yeah. I think I got a pretty big paw. Yeah. And you might be able to attest to the same thing, because I think you do too. Yep. He crushed my hand. Yeah. He crushed it. Yeah. I was like, I think a kid that was about 19 years old just buried me. Such a big man he was, and he's had such a big future, and I think there's so much more for him to see. Yeah, he was a big, intimidating force, and a real big piece of that run for the Bulldogs. Not only because of his physical presence, but he had some ability. Like, he was a good hockey player. He rushed the puck. He had a great shot. He scored that big overtime goal in Mississauga to get them into the final. So lots of skill, lots of physicality, nice guy. His brother Florian, have dealt with him this year or the last couple of years. Same exact, like they're just a great family and it's they're from Hamilton. I was going to say Hamilton product, Hamilton proud. Gotta love that. Hey, along the way you kind of talked about the fact that hockey wasn't your only game on television as well too. That it has expanded to McMaster football games and Hamilton Cardinal games and some OFL stuff as well too. Okay, so you talk about the confidence level. Okay, I'm going to do hockey because I know hockey pretty well. But what about the confidence level of having to switch sports, because it's a completely different cadence and language and pace and all that kind of thing, and in some case a different partner? Yeah, I mean, I know the game a fair bit. I played football at a decent level, a CJFL level, played baseball at a senior COBA level. So I have a good background on all the games. The only two sports I think would be lacrosse and soccer that I couldn't do them. I could probably fake it, but and I've coached basketball as well, right? So I've done some a couple MAC basketball games as well, and that was interesting. But it's fun, and sometimes you're outside of your lane, and like with basketball, and I just kind of keep in that lane. Just enough to get through, but not enough to embarrass myself, I guess. No, and as a broadcaster, and I listen to all of you and everywhere, and it's very obvious to me that you do your homework before, and that's such an important. I think there's so many people that think you grab a microphone and you just talk. Yep. I mean, it just isn't that way. So for every 2.5 hour hockey game, there's probably a good hour and a half at least in research and stuff. I mean, you know the players, you know the history of the league, you know the players in the league, but every game it's reset, new stats, or reset something's happened in the league that you have to talk about. You got to keep on it all the time and be current, because there are so many fans out there that'll call you out on it if you don't know, right? So that's what I try and do. I just try and make sure that I'm up to date on the latest stuff. And name pronunciation. Massive in sports. I've always said this, and nothing against people who do news. You can say a name in news, and 100%, and it will just roll off the anchor's tongue, and no one will question it. Yep. But in sports, you mispronounce a name, and you're getting called out.
Yeah, and usually that's the only time that anybody will say anything, right? Like I could just make up some stuff and say stuff about people, and we've done high school games, we've done that, right? And but if you mispronounce a name, man, their Twitter's burning up, right? I'm lucky I have Reed and Norm, and I'm lucky. Well, Reed is just, he's a savant, right? And he knows all the international players and Swedish players, and that's his specialty. And whenever there's a player, an import in the OHL, and I don't know, like Reed will know it, right? And then I do it phonetically.
You know what? It's funny. People don't know this. A lot of people don't know this. That there's an opening coming up for the Boston Bruins job, which
you don't think he's
I think someone's pretty excited that. I'm sure he's not excited to see what has happened to the current guy who's been calling games for a number of games, Jack Edwards. But I think he's a Boston Bruins fan.
Reed's style of call is that U.S. style, right? And he would be absolutely perfect for that. And like I said, anyone who is interested in broadcasting, come up and watch Reed Duffy work for a game, because he's, like I said, he's a savant. He will go through a roster, say the player's name once, and he'll never have to look at the roster, the number or the name ever again for the rest of the game. It's like miraculous. I'm into the third period still looking at guys, right? And it's just little things like that. And then he's just grown so much. He did, if anyone had the opportunity to see the opening for the Allen Cup on
it was fantastic.
Saturday.
Fantastic.
Right off the top of his head.
Yep.
Didn't write anything down. And I'm sitting there at the other side of the desk looking at him going, are you like going to read something? Like you're really going to wing this? Killed it.
Yeah, he did kill it. He was fantastic. Hey, you talked about the Hamilton Cardinals, and I know you do some sideline work there, or on diamond work. I don't know what you call that in baseball, but isn't there something special going on with that franchise? What's going on with the Inter-County Baseball League?
I know, it's so hip now. Right, and the Welland Jackfish, and it's the owners, right? Eric Spearin has done an amazing job up there, amazing job. He's repainted the place. He's put so much money into it. He's got good people working for him. I guess you've had Emily in here from the Cardinals. It's worth the price of admission just to watch her run around and do her thing. She cracks me up, right? And I have her on every once in a while for an interview, and I am in stitches the whole time, right? But it's that energy, and it's that kind of family cohesiveness, and that attracts the families and the crowds. I've interviewed people that have gone to Cardinals games, and that's what they say. They just like coming. They're not even baseball fans. They don't really know much about the Blue Jays or baseball. They like the atmosphere, right? The food is good, the concessions are good, the merchandise is phenomenal, and the atmosphere is amazing.
Yeah, so, and you're right.
And there's baseball.
Oh, and there's baseball too. And Emily, in between innings, has got things planned for the crowd, and I think it's such a, and use the word, it's a great vibe, right?
Yep.
And it's neat. And this rivalry with Welland is so fun, and it goes on in social media. It's happened here.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward. I think we got some Welland stuff that's coming here because they're upset that the Cardinals are here, and they've got shirts and a baseball over here. They're all upset about it, and we're the champs, blah, blah, blah. And I think this is fantastic. But as you said, the game is fantastic.
Yep.
The athletes are outstanding as well, too. And now the broadcast is good, too, because I don't really remember a lot of broadcasts in Cable 14 for baseball. But right now, it's being put together in a serious note, just like the OHL games.
Yep. And one thing for me too, because I'm down on the sidelines and doing interviews and whatnot, the players they're great. Right, they're great to deal with. I can't ask for more from any of them. In fact, Jonathan from Cable 14 said to me, he goes, "Are you going to do the Cardinals games this year?" And I said, "Yeah, sure." He goes, "The players really like it, right?" And it's like, absolutely. These guys, a great bunch of guys. I could walk out into the middle of the field in the middle of the game and put a mic in front of one of these guys, and they'll give me a great interview, right? I wouldn't do it, but you could.
Yeah.
And it's fun to work in that atmosphere. It's fun to work when the guys that you need to speak to, you're not chasing around.
Yeah, and from someone that's worked in a national sports network and has had to do that sometimes for top level guys, I'm going to tell you right now, sometimes it's not a lot of fun.
Yep, I believe it.
I'm going to tell you the truth. That's just the way it is. Sometimes it is, and it's always amazing when it is, but sometimes it's like pulling teeth.
To the Cardinals and the Dundas Real McCoys, another group of guys that really appreciate that you're there, right? I can relate to them because they're guys older, played some high level hockey, and they want to play the high level competitive range still, right? And it's the same with them. They can't do enough for you.
Well, you're a community guy, and sometimes being on television comes with it people noticing you. I'll call it celebrity status. I know when people say, hey, you're a celebrity, I go, no, I'm just a guy on television. Yeah. And I'm sure you probably feel the same way. But does that happen when you go around the neighborhood?
Yeah, and I'm not real good with it, right? and because I'm kind of really introverted and kind of shy, right? Like it's just, and so someone will stop me in a store and they'll start asking me questions, and then we start talking about the Bulldogs, right? And I think, okay, he knows me from the Bulldogs, right? And then my wife will say, who's that? And I go, I have no idea, right? But it's nice that people watch and stuff. It's new for me, all that stuff, and just recently over the last few years, because of the Bulldogs and stuff like that you get recognized. But it's not why I do it, of course. But it's kind of cool. It's nice to know that what you're doing is going out there in the community. People are watching it and appreciating it. That's pretty much it.
That's a great way to really look at it. You also give back, and I really was touched. That's the word I'll use. Touched when I saw what was going on with your football team that you lend a helping hand to. I think you were running the defenses at Sir Winston Churchill, and you guys came up with like a celebrity give back time, or like a give back time in what was a tough time. I think it was during COVID.
Yeah.
Can you explain that? So
what happened is I coached, I was defensive coordinator in Churchill and at Churchill High School, and that's where I went. And Kevin Harrison was the coach there, and a good friend of mine, and he asked me if I'd come and coach with him, and I did, and I enjoyed it way more than I thought I would. But during COVID, we had raised some money. Just prior to COVID, we had raised some money for new uniforms because we needed new equipment. And so during COVID, we hadn't played in a couple of years, and then there was a real need at the food banks, right, during that time. And we thought, hey, we can always raise money again. We did it the first time. We can do it again. Let's give that money. Let's direct that money to some people who really need it now. And and we're doing two things here. We're giving money to people who need it. Or need it now for sure. But we're also teaching the kids that you're in the community, you have a position in the community, it's important that you give back, right? And although you guys would like nice, new, shiny uniforms, we'll get them down the road. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it now. It's a priority.
How did they respond to that?
It was awesome. We got them all together. They had a vote, and it was like, yeah, absolutely, let's do it. And it was not surprising, but they really, really bought in.
I think that's tremendous. So, like, that's life lessons. And as yourself right now, retired and doing other things and focusing other things, a father and a husband, that is awesome that you are spreading that kind of, responsibility to the kids and that they're seeing that. And I think, saying that, yeah, you're right. Like I think sometimes we lose perspective of how gifted we are in this area, and that there are a lot of people out there that need some help.
Yeah, absolutely. No matter what situation you're in, there's always someone that needs help, right? So, and that's been my philosophy even when I was working for the Halton Police. So many charities that we worked with, so many charities that we gave to. Time, the Special Olympics was big for us. It's just what you do. It's ingrained in your fabric from the first day you start in policing that you're not there just to collect a paycheck. You're there to help the community. And how can you help the community? No better way than your time giving back to the community.
Well, you had a platform as an officer and again as a coach and being on television as well too. I have my own little platform here on television at CHCH, and I'll use the opportunity to thank you for all you do in the community, and it's great seeing you on the tube and what really is kind of a second career. You're doing an outstanding job. Congratulations, and we look forward to seeing you for years to come. Thanks for coming up.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. It's a lot of fun. I enjoy it, and just doing the retired thing.
You'll join us again?
Absolutely.
Appreciate it, bud.
Yep.
Hey, folks, we love talking sports from a national, provincial, as you've just seen and heard, a local perspective. If you do know of an athlete, team, or event to promote, the Sportsline Podcast want you. Contact us on many of our CHCH social media platforms, and we'll get you on this cozy couch. And while you're at it, please subscribe, review, and leave us a comment because we do appreciate your feedback. For the outstanding people that make this podcast possible, thank you for joining us, and we'll see you tomorrow.